Welcome to Back on the Broomstick,
a modern witch's spoken word grimoire,
where two witchy friends from way back are reconnecting to their pagan roots after a long period of mundanity.
We're rewalking the path of the wise and trying out all the latest spells, rituals, and magical theory in today's witchcraft and pagan practices.
So grab your wand and your incense,
your cauldron and your crystals,
and join us
as we get
Back on the Broomstick.
Welcome to Back on the Broomstick. I'm Layla, and in this episode, we'll be talking about candle magic. In particular, a handful of candle spells that every witch should have in their grimoire.
I love fire, and I'm Chelle. So welcome. We're going to chat about really some things you need to know, things that you really should kind of have in your back pocket.
And candle magic is a very accessible type of magic. Candles themselves, as we talked about in our old episode, which I'll link in the description, contain all of the elements that you need for a spell. You've got air, fire, water, and earth, all in one neat little container. And everyone loves candles. People have candles in their house all the time. So if you're a witch that's kind of undercover, candles can be an easy way for you to do spells that no one will know what you're doing.
Now, the first thing I want to touch on real quick, you said there are 4 elements involved in the whole candle thing.
Yeah.
And for folks that are like, where does water and earth fit into a candle? Give us some deets on that.
Sure. Air is obviously when you light the candle, it displaces air. It also uses oxygen to burn the fire. You have fire when you light the wick and that burning part of it. Then with the water is the liquid wax. As the wax melts, you have that liquid form. And earth is the candle and the candle wick. So you have all of the elements wrapped up into one little thing right there. Because it contains all the elements, that's why sometimes it's all you need for a spell is to light a candle.
And by candle, you can use a big jar candle, a Yankee candle, a votive candle,
a tea light or a birthday candle.
You know, if you have a spell where you have to burn the candle in its entirety, I highly recommend birthday candles.
I love those. Or even, chime candles usually don't take too long to burn. Those are those little ones that are like 3-4 inches tall, less than 5 inches usually, and they burn pretty fast. But if you want a super fast burning one, birthday candles are amazing.
My Gemini mind, I really need, the birthday. Let's do this and be done. Yeah. But I like those if you have like a week-long spell or like a money spell. Mm-hmm. I like those, 4-inch. They're good.
Some spells, like one of the spells that we're going to talk about today, takes time. You burn it every night for 7 nights. Or the spell might call for burning it for 3 nights or 5 nights, so you'll want a bigger candle for that. And although all you need is a candle, you can also add just a few simple things like oils and herbs to the candle to make your spell that much more potent. And that's one of the parts of candle magic that I really enjoy. I've always loved dressing candles for a spell.
Now let's talk about that for a real quick minute. Dressing candles. Now, we are not talking your doll clothes here, although, whatever. I'm not sure about you, but I have done a combination of taking a little bit of different oils depending on, the spell. So that kind of depends on what oil I use. I kind of like the grapeseed the most, but I will put different loose herbs and mix that in the oil and then kind of dress that with both the oil and the herb.
Oh, yeah. If I'm going to do a candle spell, you can just light the candle, but it's way more fun to go all out, take your candle and put your intention into it in multiple ways by holding it and then thinking or speaking your intention to that candle, pushing your energy into it, and also by taking a sharp object. Like I have this little tiny knife, and I love to use that to carve into my candle, either in runes or in sigils. I'll draw symbols or write names or intentions into the candle. And then you take your oil. You can, like Chelle uses a plain grapeseed oil. You can use any, hemp seed oil that you like. Or you can take maybe a blessing oil that you have created for that specific intent. And if you're invoking something, you would rub the candle from the wick to the base to hold something into you, and you anoint it with that oil. If you're banishing something or you're trying to get rid of something, you would anoint the oil from the base to the wick. Sometimes if you're looking for balance, you'll go from the center outward or outward in if you're trying to draw energy into you. So the way that you put that oil on can mean something as well.
Because I kind of do a oil and herb mixture, I actually mix the herb with the oil like on a plate or like a flat dish. And then on the plate, I either do it docile or Windershins roll it. So, rolling it, Windershins, depending on the spell, it really depends.
Yeah.
So I just do it rolling instead of,
Oh, okay. See, I put the oil on the can. So I carve the candle and then I put the oil on. And then I will take my herbs and grind them really fine. I like to have a super fine
oh,
grind
see,
on
I
my
do the
herbs.
chunk. I like chunky.
And then I'll put it on my charging plate and then I'll roll the candle towards me in the herbs if I'm trying to bring energy into me, and I roll it away from me to coat it in the herbs if it's something I'm trying to project out.
So basically the same thing, except I do
Yeah.
the oil and herb together and you do them separate.
Yep. And actually, there's no wrong way to do that, whatever works for you. You don't even have to do all three of those. That would be to supercharge a candle.
You seriously can just light the damn candle.
Exactly. But it's a lot of fun to do the steps and the components of a spell. By adding each of these things to it, you're adding more energy and more power. And if you wake up each herb or each component, if you ask it to assist in your spell, that's going to give you even more energy towards that. So you can do as much or as little with dressing your candle as you like.
Generally, with candle magic, I am very much a go big or go home.
Same.
So I do like to, go through the whole pomp and ceremony with it.
Yeah, you want to cleanse the candle, you want to charge the candle. I love all the steps. Every part of preparing a candle for a spell makes me feel very witchy. And so I like putting the oil on it. I like putting the herbs on it. I used to call it ruining a candle and I thought I was so badass. And I would literally take these long tapers and I would just write in runes. I would write from top to bottom or from bottom to top my entire spell. I'd carve it in the whole thing and dress it in the oils. It's just fun. And it adds, in my mind, it adds to the power of the spell because it gets into my subconscious. You kind of get into the craftiness of it, the witchiness of it. And that really does add to the magic. There's a lot to be said for
Pomp and ceremony, right?
yeah, exactly. And candles themselves are transformative. I mean, in a dark room, light a candle and it immediately elevates that space, transforms that space. If you have candles when your friends are over, if you have candles on your dinner table, it immediately changes the atmosphere. So candles themselves are very powerfully transformative.
All right, let's get into what the people want to hear now.
Specific spells.
Yeah, yeah.
My top 3 candle spells that every witch should have are the 3 basics: a protection spell, a blessing spell, and a get the fuck away spell, a return to sender spell.
I really like that.
I knew the third one would be right up your alley, Shell.
And we'll talk about my top, which is Money Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
I really like the flame scrying / divination.
Oh, yes, that's on my list too.
And we will talk about love and relationship candle magic.
Oh, yeah, manifesting. That is also on my list. So, okay, cool. Well, let's start with the basics. Let's start with a blessing spell. A simple blessing candle spell would be something that you could use to bless your home or bless your new car or to bless your space before you do some type of magic in it.
Now, I am big on the whole correspondence thing. So I would, again, dress my candle in that type of, blessing type herb.
I might even use honey instead of an oil because honey, it's attraction, it's warmth, it's that abundance of home. If you're blessing your home and your space, I might actually use honey.
I would probably use a blue candle because it
Yes.
gives you that, peace and tranquility and,
Hmm.
you're creating your spiritual space. You know what I mean?
You can always use white. White is kind of like a quartz crystal. White is like
Universal.
it's like the switchblade knife of, you can just pretty much
When
use
in
it for
doubt, use
everything.
white. Yeah.
Exactly. But blue, I agree. I would also use like a light blue and I would probably write runes for, happiness and blessing, peaceful home on it. Maybe you draw a sigil. I love sigils. So I will always create a sigil because it kind of activates that magical creative part of my brain. Something simple that it's easy to draw on a candle. And then as an oil, you could use any type of attraction or blessing oil. You could even use like Florida water if you're looking for a little bit more protection in that blessing. But I would probably go with honey just because it's sweet. It brings in that sweetness, that lightness, that joy of, I guess not really joy of hard work, but I guess kind of that too. But, brings in that joy.
And actually, instead of using oil, you could use the honey with herbs.
Yeah, just use the honey to dress your candle or mix it with the herbs in the beginning, like Chelle does. And for herbs, again, I would stick with like the sweetness theme. I would probably use lavender and rose. Those are simple and easy. You've got those at home. If you want to, maybe a little bit of just regular garden sage, if you've got a little sage in your kitchen, just for that base of protection and happiness. Maybe a little cinnamon if you want a little prosperity in there as well. So that's probably all I would use.
Now, what I would personally do, and I'm sure there are a million options out there online, I would just kind of write my own, maybe 4 line, I don't want to say poem, but I kind of write spells and poems, but my own little protection spell. What am I looking to get out of this? We all have a different view of having our house blessed and what have you. So I would kind of lay out my intentions and then set a time frame for myself. Am I doing this once till the candle is out for 7 days? Kind of lay out my parameters.
You're going to want to know going into this, is this like a one-shot spell, or is this something like the money bowl that we're going to talk about where you maybe do it repeatedly and just kind of refresh that spell? If this is a home blessing, maybe you want to set it up in a bowl that has symbols of abundance in it and then just burn a candle every time you want to refresh that. But the point is either write it down or have it outlined in your head what your parameters of that spell are going to be before you start it.
Another option is if you have, for lack of another example, I'll say a horseshoe. You know how people like to hang horseshoes for good luck?
Mm-hmm.
You could, for 7 days, have that candle lit in the middle of that horseshoe to kind of empower that horseshoe to then, at the end of the 7 days, hang it up outside your house. Kind of
Yes.
like if you had physical talismans, basically.
Yes, that's perfect. If you're charging an item, it could be that horseshoe, it could be a statue, it could be a crystal, it could be
Right.
anything. Just have that near or under the candle that you're burning with the intent of all that blessing gets charged into that item. And once you're done burning these candles, whether it's 1 day or 7 days, you're going to have candle residue left. There's going to be something left. And disposing of those candle pieces should be part of your spell.
Now, I know we are going to have different opinions, but let's really talk quick about what to do with them. What would you do with them? And then I will tell you what I would do with them.
It's really going to depend on what the spell is for me. If it's like, say, it's a banishing spell, I might just throw it in the garbage because that's something symbolically that gets taken away from you and it goes in the trash, so you're getting rid of something dirty and gross, right? So I might just throw that in the garbage. If it's a house protection spell, I might take that wax and bury it in one of the quarters of my property. Or I might put that into another jar, like a home protection jar, and make it part of that spell because it's already got that energy into it. If it's something that I want to transform, I might burn it in fire. So say maybe it's a relationship that's bad that I'm trying to change. I might burn that wax in a fire or possibly bury it in the earth to get that longer lasting change. I don't like burying things that are not organic, so it would really depend on what that candle was made of. Same thing with putting it in running water. I almost never do that anymore. If it was, just like beeswax, maybe. But again, that would be something that would need to be cleansed or transformed. So it would really depend on what the spell was, how I dispose of the last part. Maybe I keep it as a talisman. Maybe I turn that wax and put it back and get made into a different candle. But it's really going to depend on what the spell was.
Now, I am very much a waste not, want not kind of person. And at my old house in New York, in my garage, I had like 2 old, those like tin coffee, like the coffee things.
Yeah, like the metal coffee cans.
Yeah, yeah. I had 2 of them in my garage. And what I would do is if the candle spell was used for quote unquote good love and light things, that wax went into one. And if it was kind of more a not so love and light thing, the wax went into a different one. And then when I got however much, or if I needed it for something, like, you know how we've talked about like the banishing jars, the spell
Hmm.
jars and stuff, and sometimes they're not pleasant. Sometimes I would take the not so nice wax and use it for that, or melt it all down and make another candle to do maybe a similar spell to that energy. Same with kind of the positive energy wax. Maybe I would use that, melt it down, and use it for maybe another blessing spell or what have you. But that's just me. I know some people wouldn't reuse it, but waste not, want not, ma'am.
And I really like how you separated that energetically because I do feel that it makes a difference.
Well, why would I use something bad for something good?
Exactly, exactly. And can you cleanse that? Some people believe that they can. And I feel that if you've used it in a spell, that's pretty powerful. It would be very difficult, in my opinion, to cleanse all of that. So by separating them energetically, I think that's pretty smart. So again, it comes down to whatever you did for the spell. That's going to kind of determine how you, or it should determine how you dispose of that or use it again later. It should be similar. So that's how you would get rid of it. And so in a blessing spell, like Chelle said, you could use that to charge something, and then you can take that wax. Maybe you could shape it into a little ball or into a cool little shape and have that wax itself be a small charm or talisman that you keep on a shelf or put someplace in your house to radiate that blessing. So what's the next spell that we've got?
Cleansing.
Being able to cleanse your space is a wonderful talent for any witch. So definitely in our top three. And for cleansing, I like to use a half a lemon, salt, pine needles, rosemary, and a white candle. Super simple. And what I like to do with that is I like to take a lemon and cut it in half. And honestly, any fucking citrus will work. It doesn't really matter. The citrus is the important part because every type of cleaning product known to man, if you put citrus in it, it's going to help cleanse, right? Like for like. Symbolically, citrus cleanses. So if you use that as your base for your candle, you're already one up on the game, right? So I like to take a white candle and again, same thing, dress it, write on it, write your sigils on it, right? You're cleansing the space. You could also use a black or gray candle, I think. Do you have a preference for candle color for cleansing?
I guess I never really thought about anything other than white, but I
Yeah.
could I could see how gray might be good.
Yeah, so white, black, or gray, maybe yellow. Put the lemon cut side up on a plate. Put your white candle in the center of it. The herbs that you can use to dress the candle would be salt, crushed rosemary, and crushed pine. I like crushed pine needles. So you can either sprinkle that on the lemon or you can dress your candle with those herbs. We like to dress the candles.
What I've actually done before is I've picked one to dress the candle and put the other on the lemon.
Ooh, okay, I like that too. Then you can just light your candle and maybe say a very simple blessing poem, something like, this is one I have in a book of shadows from the last time I did this, which I think was when I was living with a terrible roommate. So that was a little while ago. But anyway, cleanse the space with salt and light, purify by day and night. This place is cleansed, all negativity banned, by my will, the universe's hand. So say whatever. You can just say, cleanse this fucking space, cleanse my
Right?
spot, anything negative, get the fuck out. You can say whatever you want to say. Make something elaborate. I like silly little rhymes because they get into your subconscious, they get into your head. The easier it is to say and the more rhymey, it works.
I don't know, it works for some reason.
So you don't have to say anything. You can just think cleansing positive thoughts. And then once your candle has burned down, this is something that you could either just throw away because again, when you're cleaning, you throw away all the refuse. You can also dry that lemon or citrus, whatever type that you used, and use that, use the lemon peel or something as a protection. You can put them in spell jars. You can bury it in your yard. But this one, again, it's cleansing. You can just throw it away. All right. The next one that we think that you should have, one of the top three, is the Return to Sender spell.
I actually love this. I love this. What I do with this is I incorporate I don't just use a candle for this particular one.
Mm-hmm.
I use some sort of mirror setup as well.
Me too.
Now, in my old house, I used to have like this beautiful votive candle holder that had mirrors all on the inside and out. I don't have it anymore, so now I would set up mirrors, but I basically put a candle inside a shape of mirrors
Okay, so you like have mirrors standing up around it?
so that the flame is being reflected back at itself.
Oh, okay. I like to put the mirror as the plate. I like to use a reflective plate or a round mirror to place the candle on.
Oh, good idea. Yeah. And you can actually buy at like Walmart mirror coasters. That would work perfect.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. I like to have a reflective surface on the bottom, but I like the idea of having multiple mirrors standing up so the light is bouncing around inside, reflect like you said, reflecting back on itself.
Well, in my opinion, whether it's candle magic or not, any type of return to sender has to involve mirrors in my mind.
Oh,
That is
same.
just a me thing, but like that is the perfect you get back what you put out kind of thing to me.
For this one, I like to have, if you have any broken mirror or broken glass, I like to incorporate a shard of broken mirror or broken glass into this one. Red pepper and cloves are big for me for return to sender because I like to send it back with a little bit of sting. Hey, they started it.
I've actually used some like dried different types of
Oh,
peppers that I
yeah.
dried myself.
Oh, even better.
Anything that I personally find distasteful, I use. Anything I find offensive, I use.
I like to keep it simple. I like to use a reflective surface, a black candle to sever any ties, banish any negativity, the mirror to send it back to them. I like black salt for this. You want that heavy, powerful protection right there. I know some people will use graveyard dirt.
Yep.
That's really going to depend for me. I think that's kind of like the big guns. I don't like to collect it, but you could use graveyard dirt here. But I like red pepper and cloves, a little bit of black salt. I like to write their name on a bay leaf. You could put it on a little piece of paper or what have you, but I like the symbolism of a bay leaf.
No, I really do keep this one super simple
Yeah.
because usually if it resorts to this, I'm pretty pissed off. So, I do the same thing. I write their name. I might write either what I would like an outcome to be, like, hey, they end up with a stick up their ass.
Mm-hmm.
No. But, I write something and what I end up doing is really simple. Whatever you send to me, send back to you times three. Whatever you send to me, send back to you times three. And I say that 9 times. I have found it has worked.
Oh, yeah. Banishing return to sender spells like this are super good.
Whatever I write on the paper or on the bay leaf, whichever, I then burn in that candle flame.
I also like to burn the bay leaf before I light the candle because I like to incorporate the ashes of it in with my black salt, my red pepper, my
Are you using the
cloves.
candle to burn it?
Nope.
Oh,
I like to dress the candle with their name. So I'll take the bay leaf, write their name on it, burn that,
I get what you're saying
and
because
then
then it burns them away.
that's right, I
I
add those
got you.
ashes to the red pepper and the cloves and the black salt. I will dress the candle from base to tip, and I'll either use a banishing oil or I'll just use some type of, like you said, grapeseed oil.
Actually, I have in the past with a banishing candle spell used vinegar to dress it.
Oh, there you go. That's nice too. And then I will coat it with those herbs. Then what I do is I cut off the bottom while I'm thinking about how pissed off I am and how much I want
The
to
bottom of
return
what?
the candle.
Oh,
You shave off the bottom of the candle to expose the wick. So now you have the bottom of the candle with the wick
make it
exposed.
vulnerable.
And you burn it from the bottom down, return it back to them. You're taking that spell and you're turning it backwards. And so you're sending that to them. Let all of that melt down onto that shard of glass or shard of mirror. And whatever herbs left, you're going to sprinkle around the base of the candle and then let it all burn down onto the herbs and onto the shard of glass. And then throw that shit away. Bury it in your nastiest garbage and throw that shit away.
If it is mirrors that I am not going to reuse, or if it is broken pieces, I have before used a Sharpie and actually wrote the name of the person on the actual mirror. It's like
Yeah,
reflecting it right
right
back
back
to
to
them.
them. And there's several different ways to do a return to sender spell, but they all involve writing that person's name down, projecting the idea of reflecting it back to them. Whatever you send bounces off me and sticks on you, right? And that's exactly the idea. So yeah, I do like to burn the bottom of the candle. That's an old folk magic. If you really want to return that back to them, flip the candle over and do it that way. So, those are your three basics. Those are going to assist you in pretty much anything you need to cleanse your space, protect your space, and bounce bad energy back. So, what have we got next?
Everybody wants more money. Okay.
Yes.
So let's talk candle magic money bowls. You have had a damn money bowl for months.
Yeah, I
Months.
started it in the beginning of the year. We did a try it spell. I created a money bowl that I had never done before, and I feed it regularly. It's burning right now, actually.
Now, first of all, in my opinion, green candle, green, green, green.
Hmm.
What color are you using?
The candle I have in it today is blue
Okay.
for reasons.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, it's blue right now. The first candle was white and then it was green. So it's been mostly white and green, but this one's blue.
Okay. But it's blue for a reason, not just
Correct.
random.
That is
Okay.
correct. Blue and gold make green. So,
Now, I have mine right here. And what I have in mind, because obviously it's an actual bowl, I love all things British in United Kingdom. Shout out to our UK listeners. I have a bunch of coins in here, really. A Queen Elizabeth coin. My friend in England brought me, I have a coin now with King Charles on it. I have a Susan B. Anthony, and I have I don't even know who that is. One of the dollar coins, two cinnamon sticks. I love these little shells.
cowrie shells.
Yeah, and they used to be used way back as a form of money
Currency. Yeah.
currency. So I always try to have one of these in a money bowl. And then I have a adventuring and a green tourmaline in here. And then obviously I have my green candle. Oh, and by the way, I'm not going to say what year it is because that's a TMI thing, but I have a penny of the year I was born.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so money symbols are obviously one of the big things that you'll put in a money bowl. At the base of my bowl, I have rice, which is considered a form of currency.
I have sand in mine.
They're all going to be different. Whatever you want to use as your base is fine. I used rice because it's a traditional symbol of money. And I have a $2 bill and a $1 silver certificate.
Ooh.
The reason is because it's real money, but it's fantastic money. It's exceptional money. It's different. You also have interesting money in your money bowl.
I have special money in it.
And I also have special money in mine. I also have like a little Monopoly piece house because when I first created this, we were looking to move yet again to a fantastic house, which came true. But I have other little symbols in there of things that I would like to attract. I also have cinnamon sticks in mine because those are, everyone likes to do the cinnamon blow. Cinnamon is a symbol of money, of wealth. So having those symbols is in there is very important. I also have a green aventurine. And I have some 3 bay leaves that I wrote different intentions on that are in there as well.
I did, but my cat ate them.
Yeah, cats are where a lot of
Fucker.
my money goes too. So you want to put symbols of wealth, symbols of things in there that you like. And I mentioned feeding my bowl. I like to add things to it occasionally, add money to it, and I like to make sure that I keep the candle refreshed. Do you do anything like that for your money bowl?
Well, when I first started it, I only had my English money, and that was very special because it had the queen and now the king on it. But then I came across, you know how you go to the store and you're supposed to get like 50 cents change, and the next thing you know, you got a Susan B. Anthony in your hand. I got that at store's change, and I was like, I need to put that in. And then my gold dollar, same thing, that was given to me as change because a cashier thought it was a quarter, and I put that in. My penny, I looked long and hard for a penny from the year I was born, and I finally found it.
Yeah, so adding things to a money bowl is traditional. Some people like to create them at the beginning of the year for the year, but you can pick any time. It doesn't really have to be, the beginning of the calendar year. This is a spell that's not meant to be a one and done. This is meant to sit in a specific place, a prominent place where you will see it, and by seeing it, refresh the spell. By lighting the candle and allowing it to burn, that refreshes the spell. And then by replacing the candle with intention, with thoughtfulness, and adding items to that bowl with intention and thoughtfulness, sometimes called feeding the bowl or feeding the spell, to keep that refreshed and to keep that energy going.
Speaking of refreshed, one thing I had to do a couple of times is my wax dripped on my sand.
Mhm.
And what I ended up doing, taking everything out, disposed of the sand, put new sand in, and basically put it back together because I couldn't stand having dripped wax on the sand.
See, I like to keep mine all together. It's starting to form like a little wax thing at the bottom because I use candles that just drip down and then I add another candle to that puddle of wax at the bottom. It's starting to incorporate the bay leaves and some of the rice and the cinnamon sticks. So as it burns, it's kind of forming a talisman at the bottom of that. So I kind of like to keep that.
Yeah, but see, I don't always use drippy candles. Like recently, holiday stuff hit the shelves, and I have like a green tea light in. I've used a votive, a taper. I just always, me personally, I always try to stick with green.
I like usually green or white. White's universal, but again, using the blue one for specific intent. With that being said, a money bowl is a type of manifestation spell. So a simple 7-day manifestation spell that I learned, it might have been from Lori Cabot's book, I'm not sure, but you can use this to manifest anything. Basically requires 2 candles and you can carve them, dress them however you like, but use herbs and oils for your intention. So say you want to manifest a new job or a new place to live, or you want to manifest a new car. I don't know. Take 1 candle and signify that as you, and then the other candle you would charge with your intent for whatever it is that you want to manifest. And dress them, bless them, however you like. And the idea of this is you burn them for 10 minutes every day. So you're going to want bigger candles for this. So you're going to burn them for about 5-10 minutes every day. Maybe you have a chant or something that you say to invoke those energies of what you're manifesting. And then you move them 1 inch closer to each other. Each day you move them 1 inch closer to each other and let them burn for 10 minutes until at the end of the 7 days, they're touching each other. And that's when you let them burn completely. And that should draw whatever it is that you have asked to manifest to you.
And I like that because that's almost like visually happening. You're
Right.
not just projecting it out there, but you're visually seeing it come together.
Yep. And you can do this, if you're looking for a relationship, you can have this other candle be the idea of, I want someone who loves old movies as much as I do, or, that type of thing. Just write money on it and have that come towards you. But just move them together and there's a simple manifestation spell.
Now, since you brought it up, we're going to quick bounce to love and relationships.
Oh, yes.
First of all, this is potentially going to be a little X-rated. If you're under the age of 18, please turn this off for the next 4 minutes.
Oh, now I'm really interested.
Right.
What kind of candle magic you doing?
All right, we're going to get there. Hold on. Generally speaking, pink, red, or white would be my go-to color-wise. Now, being that I am in Salem and there is a lot of magical shops here, you have the option to get, and you can get these online too, a candle in the shape of a man, a candle in the shape of a woman. Depending on your intentions, you can also get a candle in the shape of a very large penis.
Well, I seem to recall someone who made quite a few of those out of a mold of their significant other's junk. And I think there's a few of them still floating around even now, like years later.
I recall that same story and I'm giggling in my head. Um, so, you can kind of take this to whatever level you want. And I'm not saying I am totally for love or relationship magic, but if you were just going to do simple a pink taper or a pink tea candle, same thing. Dress your stuff generally, roses, peppermint.
Honey.
Honey is a good one. That would be something you could use that as your base to dress it. use that instead of an oil, unless you're going to use like a rose oil.
Or an edible oil.
I really do like for a love spell a picture and have that picture as the base. Or if you're already in a relationship, a picture of the two of you together.
I'm not I'm going to put a disclaimer here. I want no part of doing love spells on specific people unless like you're already in a relationship. Not a good idea. They almost always end badly. I just don't like them.
I know, and I agree with you, but people do it. So I'd rather kind of give a good opinion. If you're gonna do it, you should at least know how to do it, least half-assed as
All
possible.
right, I'm going to say if you're going to do it to a specific person, always throw the caveat in there of, for the good of all and to harm none. Or I don't know, I would throw something in there to like give them an out because you don't
Okay.
want somebody to fall in love with you that doesn't really love you.
Well,
Never ends well.
I didn't say fall in love with you,
Well, you said
but
love spell, so I just went there.
what if you've been married for 10 years and you get one of those big dick candles to get your groove on because you want it 4 times a week instead of 1 time a week?
Well,
You
that's
know,
different. I mean, if you're gonna, if you want to like enhance a love that's already there or spice up your love life, I'm all for that. I mean,
that is
yeah.
what I'm advocating. That is what I'm advocating. I'm
If
not
you want to
advocating
curse your
hiding
ex
somebody.
with a little bit of a limp dick because he kind of totally deserves it, I'm also kind of for that. I just don't
Right.
necessarily want someone to be like, this person will love me and love me only.
That is not good on any level. First of all, we won't talk about the moral issues of that, but when that wears off and they don't love you anymore, then how are you going to feel?
Yeah.
How about
It's
that?
not
How
good
about
for
that?
you. It's not good for you, girlfriend. I mean, really, I don't give a shit about them. It's not good for you.
It really isn't.
It's
And
not.
it's better to get a booty call than be in a bad relationship. So get
There
the
you
dick
go.
candle.
Get the
Get the
dick
dick
candle, get the
candle.
vulva candle, get the whatever genitalia you want candle. Just don't do a love spell. Give it a generic idea. If you're going to put the qualities of someone out there that you want, say, hey, I want to attract someone that wants sex 5 times a day and loves old movies and likes to go hiking. If you want to put that out there without attaching a specific person, I think that's a great idea.
Layla, I can't for a minute. I had to turn my mind off because I just immediately started picturing you dressing a big penis candle.
Really?
And I was like,
Chelle.
oh my God, there's a visual for you. But anywho, I was actually going to do more of like, kind of talk more about like a enhance what you've got. Because again, I
Okay.
agree with you. I do not condone making Joe Blow down the street fall in love with you. Bad, bad ending. But, maybe you and your significant other got in a funk, or, maybe things are just stressful and you want that to not be projected onto your relationship. That is more kind of the love and relationship and
Okay.
dick candle kind of thing I'm talking about.
Yeah. All right. I'm totally up for that.
But, I do advocate having the other person involved.
Hmm.
Maybe if you are a witch couple, this would be something good to do together. Maybe one of you can dress it, one of you can write out a little. I'm big on kind of writing a 3, 4, 5 line thing, basing it around what you want and being kind of rhythmic. Maybe it's something as simple as enhance what we have, make it grow.
By the light of the candle's glow. Oh, or even better, reverse that. By the light of the candle's glow, enhance what we have and make it grow. Simple, easy.
Exactly. But I like the picture thing. And I actually have done that before, had a picture and had it kind of at the base and had that wax go down. We're going to talk in a few minutes about what I did with that wax, because that didn't go in my tin can, but I don't want to mix divination with this particular topic.
Oh, okay.
I do think that divination can play into this because I don't know. I don't have a specific spell written out for this, but when I have done this in the past, I've kind of used that flame to kind of, I don't want to say project what was written on the paper, but almost talk to the fire.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
So you're as it's burning, you're like saying the spell into the fire.
As if the fire were a conduit to take it to where it needs to go to be manifested.
Okay. All right. I like that.
You know what I mean?
The idea of a candle flame and that energy is putting that energy out to the universe. That's the whole idea of a candle spell is that as it burns, similar to incense, like incense, that smoke goes up, and the whole idea is that it brings your intent, your power out to the universe to manifest that desire, to make that real.
But I have a weird relationship with fire, though, because I was burned a couple times very badly as a small child, and it created a weird relationship. And it's almost like when I do things like this, I don't know, it's like I'm talking to the fire as if it were like a spirit being.
Hmm.
So it's not even so much projecting it out to the universe. It's almost like whispering into fire's ear to have it then go do its work.
So whispering it to the flame itself, to the power of fire to manifest your will.
Right. Not the universe as a whole, but the
But
element of
fire
fire.
itself. And fire is pretty powerful that way. It is transformative. Some people say that if you're talking to one flame, you're talking to all of them.
But fire has a lot to do with, like lust and passion. And so you kind of talk to it about what you want. You know what I mean?
And if you want that energy to grow, that type of burning passion, for sure tell it to the fire and have it.
So it's not so much about the words you say as far as, words of a spell. It's more about creating that passionate relationship with fire to get the passion back that you want.
hmm like for like, the burn of the flame is a lot like the burn of romance or relationship. So using that fire, using candle magic, you can grow a relationship, grow desire, grow passion.
But not create. We're not creating relationships. We're not creating passion. We are fanning the flame that is already there.
Oh, I like that.
Ooh, I should trademark that shit.
That's a good one.
Yeah, yeah, you're not creating that flame. You're fanning what is already there. You're telling that flame that is already there what your desires are, what your wants are.
So relationship building, that's another type of manifestation. It's just a specific, you're manifesting a specific thing. So you could use that 70 candle spell, or like Chelle said, just the single candle. And hey, anytime you use a longer lasting candle,
Or the human shaped ones, because they would be pretty,
if you burn that every time you and your significant other are in the same room, that will reignite those energies and kind of bring
or
that
doing your
passion around.
thing.
Yeah.
But that kind of leads into, because I mentioned the word divination, I want to kind of segue into that. Not a spell per se, but I do use flame as a divination tool, not necessarily candle. I will do that with a bonfire. There's a lot to be gleaned from a burning flame.
Fire scrying is a very easy way to get into an alpha state, to get your brain to kind of let go of your conscious mind and get more into your subconscious, into your magical mind. It's pretty easy to get lulled into that semi-hypnotic state and start to fire scry. Some people are natural at it. Almost everyone can get lulled into that alpha meditative state by fire. Pretty easy if you just, let your eyes kind of unfocus and stare into the flame and just kind of let everything be soft and drift away a little.
But that's when I start seeing like shapes or like things moving, almost like a little movie reel. And that's where like the divination comes in.
It's good to have a recording device or a person there listening that can record for you, a notebook so that you can write things down as soon as you start to come out of that state, because it's a very dreamlike state. And the more you do it, the easier your recall will be, but it can be a
Hard
little
in the beginning.
disorienting. Yeah. But fire scrying is fantastic. I recommend that you set your intent. If you're going to do candle magic, it should be either a spell or a divination. I know it's popular sometimes to turn your spell in, if you're using candle magic to do a spell, a lot of people try to interpret how it burns or how it melted.
Honestly, not everything is a sign, okay? Not
Exactly.
everything is a damn sign.
You wanted to bring up another type of spell that a lot of people turn into a divination.
Oh boy. All right, here we go. Right now, the big thing is cord cutting.
Yeah, that's the big one. That type of spell in particular is one that you really do not want to do a scrying of how it burned or how it didn't burn at the end, because that goes against the nature of the spell itself.
I know, but it's not about you and it's not about me. It's about the people, and the people on the old Facebook and the old Instagram seem to be in love with cord cuttings. First of all, did you do a binding to begin with that needed to be cut? Was my first question. But okay, let's say you did. I do like the candle to represent one, candle to represent the other, wrap whatever type of cord you want around them too, and light each candle till they burn, and then the cord burns. I like that. It just is so cliche right now.
It's not just that it's cliche, it's that it looks good and it sounds good. I mean, we even talked about it back in the beginning, but I don't think people are doing it right. It's a really shitty way to do a cord cutting. It's a very passive way to do a cord cutting. And I prefer energetic, actionable ways to do a cord cutting.
Can I just point something out? It's called cord cutting for a reason. It ain't called cord burning. It's called
Right.
cord cutting. In my opinion, you need scissors, not a candle. But people love the candles, so let's talk about it.
They like the candles that, like you said, one candle represent you, one candle represents the other person. They tie the cord around them, the string, to represent the binding, whether it's something you did on purpose or whether it's an energetic cord. I mean, we all get energetic cords from people that we meet, and some of them can be pretty deep. And if you want to actually sever that connection, the idea is that you then let the candles burn down, and the candles will cut that cord by burning it. First of all, that's passive. I don't like to let the candles burn down and sever the cord. You should cut the cord. If you're going to tie two
If you're
candles
done, be done.
together,
If you're done, be done.
if you're done, be done. Take those candles, and if you're going to tie them together, then take scissors and fucking cut that cord actively. Your power, your hand, you cut that. Don't just wait for a candle to burn down and cut it. Dramatic, looks good on camera, dumb idea in practice. Then the second thing that people like to do with this is they then want to know, this is how both candles melted. What does it mean?
Didn't you hear me? I said not everything's a sign.
And you also said, when you're done, be fucking done.
Right.
Don't try to read something into it. You're done. Throw that shit away. Don't worry about how it burned or what happened. You don't want anything to do with this person
What part
anymore.
of close the door do you not get?
Thank you. You're cutting cords with this person. You don't want to analyze them. You don't want to analyze your feelings about them. When you're done, be done. Be active about it. Cut that fucking cord on purpose and then be done and move on. That's the next part, is the mundane part of that spell, is you need to move on. Close the door, walk away. Don't think about that person anymore. Don't worry about that person anymore. You are done. You have cut that cord.
Don't bother doing a cord cutting spell if you're not ready to do a cord cutting spell.
Thank you. And if you just want to do a pretty one and divine what it means for your relationship, set that intention when you're burning the candle. Because like Chelle said, not everything is a sign. Just because the oil caught fire and burned half the candle down, it just means that the oil caught fire and burned half the candle down. If it wasn't a sign, you would know. You would feel that. You would feel that energetically, be like, oh, this means that I'm only half done with this relationship. You wouldn't need to ask someone else what it means. You would know that it was a sign, because signs are meant for you specifically, not for other people to interpret.
And if your candle flame goes out on its own, the sign might be that you have a draft in your house and you maybe should get some better insulation. I don't know.
Exactly. So I don't love those cord cuttings. They're kind of cutesy and nice, and I was sucked into it in the beginning too because they look so good on camera.
Cliche.
It's so cliche. And after thinking about it, why cut a cord passively? The idea is to cut it actively, and when you're done, be done. So don't confuse divination spells with your regular spells. And if it's a sign, you'll know, because they're meant for you. Signs are so personal.
Now, I feel like we might have talked about candle magic to exhaustion. So how about we wrap this up and let the people get on and see what their experiences are with candle magic. So if you try candle magic and you have maybe a tip or a trick or something that works really well for you, email us, message us, DM us. And while you're at it, give us some likes, some stars, some shares, the love. We love the love.
And thank you so much for sending all of it in and for listening to the episode this week. If you have any questions or topics, email us at backonthebroomstick@gmail.com. Check out our website, Instagram, Facebook.
Happy beginning of spooky season.
Yes, welcome to the beginning of spooky season. We've got a lot planned for you guys, so we will see you next week.
Keep it witchy.